Hello, benvinguts. Welcome to today's webinar, Catalonia Tech Talks webinar series on emerging technologies and governance. Today's focus is on AI, democracy, and cultural heritage. Our program is as follows. How can AI used to gain access to still hidden information about the Spanish Civil War and the Franco dictatorship? This part will be presented by Fatima Itzel Lopez, PhD, Head of Knowledge and Technology Transfer at the Computer Vision Center at the Universitat Autònoma de Barcelona, and Gerard Corbella Lopez, Managing Director of the cultural tech company La Foneria. Additionally, we will explore how digital provenance research using AI contributes to support the restitution and cultural assets dispossessed in various historical contexts. This will be presented by Professor Dr. Maike Hopp. She's a junior professor for digital provenance research at the Technical University of Berlin, and Raúl Vicente Garcia, project manager at the Fraunhofer IPK in Berlin as well. The Catalonia Tech Talk will be conducted in English and will last approximately 1 hour and 50 minutes. The first part will feature keynote presentations, followed by a question and answer session. The session will be recorded and available for any interested public on YouTube afterwards. Thank you. I hand over to Fatima Itzel Lopez, PhD.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Mary. I'm gonna share my screen in the presentation. Okay. So first of all, thank you for having me here. It is an honor to talk about heritage and cultural heritage and AI. We will present together with Gerard a use case that we've been working together with CBC and La Foneria in a project related in cultural heritage. So the outline of the presentation, we will present first the CBC, the Foneria, the identified need that made us work together now from a couple of years back that we've been working together in this project. And also we will show a particular example of and a use case of our work together, finalizing with a demo. The CVC, the Computer Vision Center, is a public consortium from the Generalitat de Catalonia and the Autonomous University of Barcelona. We are a research center specialized in computer vision. We have a strong activity in research, but also in technology transfer, and that made us, that's why we are member of different industrial clusters, as we liked our technologies to be deployed in industrial settings. The service pillars are basically these 5 that you see here. Obviously, the talent generation with the creation of a master in computer vision program, artificial intelligence degree, and we are also very involved in the Catalonia AI artificial intelligence initiative, where we lead some of the initiatives that are currently ongoing with different research centers doing AI. And as I said before, we are a research center that with a strong activity in technology transfer. We collaborate, we like to collaborate with companies and different institutions, public and private, just to see our technologies deployed in the production lines. And one of our missions is the knowledge generation. We have 12 research groups working in different domains within the computer vision, from autonomous driving, medical imaging analysis, multispectral imaging analysis, human behavior and vision and language, and document intelligence. Today, we are focusing in the group of document intelligence, particularly basically understanding what is in a document. As you know, having OEC, the documents, turning images into text, turning a document, an image of a document into text is not enough. We need to understand it, and for that, we have a team of researchers working in this domain, document intelligence, to interpret and extract relevant information from various types of documents that you see here. These systems can be referred as end-to-end reading systems or document AI. Reading systems in our daily life, as you already know, are everywhere, from our bank statements, pay slips, technical diagrams, past documents, historical documents, and also seen traffic signs, books, newspaper, comics, and we work in all that. We have a dedicated team working in document AI, working in these different domains: structured document understanding, trying to understand the document layout, documents with a structure, without the structure, vision and language reading, being able to ask questions to a document, multimodal document privacy, image captioning in photos, for example, and also historical document analysis, going from handwritten text, optical museum recognition, and generative models to understand these documents. So we want all this knowledge to be useful and to have an impact in society. So that's why we, when Gerard came and put us this challenge over the table, we started collaborating. I have to say, this group has also been working in this topic for over 20 years. So I think well, now I'm gonna give the word to Gerard, the stage, so he can talk about and present you La Foneria, to later present you our use case. Gerard?
Hi, and thank you also to invite us to this webinar. I will start presenting our company. Our company is called La Foneria. We're a Catalan company that we are specialized in cultural heritage, and we used to work also with a lot of archives, and we have a focus in human rights archives. We used to work with information technologies such as databases, and we start working with artificial intelligence thanks to Computer Vision Center. And we are applying all these technologies in narrative and digital strategies to put online or to disseminate data and content from cultural heritage or from human rights archives. And we used to say, because we are a digital humanities company, we are a digital humanities enterprise, and we used to say we know so much about technology and heritage. And when we finish the projects, it seems to be really easy. And to make it easy, it's because we know more or less about technology and heritage. Next slide. Yes, thank you. I just want to start with a framework talking about cultural heritage and archives. Just some statistics, just some data. These are statistics from the Ministry of Culture in Spain, and talks about museums and archives. If we talk about museums, we know that only 8.6% of museum collections are available online. It's not a lot. And today, users of archives are not on-site users, are in a huge majority online users. As you can see, more than 96% are online users. Then there's an incredible gap between users and availability of cultural heritage, as you can see with these statistics. That happens in Spain, but that also happens all around Europe and all around the world. And for example, if we take a look at what's happening in Europe, we have an archives portal that have 175 million digital images that are available online. That's good, but all this digitized material that's available online, this does not mean that are machine readable. That means that they have not structured data. And that's a problem if we want to use artificial intelligence with this material. Let's continue. Our vision as an enterprise is to give a future for the past. And we used to explain that the large language models such as ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, DeepSeek, etc., are trained always using structured data, this data that's matching readable. If we take a look at the websites, at the internet, only around between 13 or 45% of available websites contain structured data, like Wikipedia. A lot of these artificial intelligence models are trained using Wikipedia. This structured data for websites started around at the end of the last century. But if we take a look at the archives, the first archive dates back to around 2100 before current era. So the past is not available for machines. We have a lot of information that is actually out of the radar, and that means we have a lot of work to do in the next future. Now I want to explain some needs for the archives that are everyday needs, like document cataloging, photography, description, and data extraction. Some other data, around 44% of museums collection are cataloged, and even fewer are described. So there's a lot of work to do. Some concrete project needs that we are receiving as a company are some like this. For example, the Catalan government has around 15 million digital images online from archives in an archives portal, but they cannot publish digitized documents that contains personal data because they have to comply general data protection regulation like in every European country. So they have to do some things with this personal data. Another example, the photography archive of the Barcelona City Council has a huge collection from photojournalists, and with around 720,000 photos that need to be described, and they have no money or they have no people to do it manually. So they need a lot of people and a lot of researchers, for example, to anonymize personal data or to describe photos. Our idea is that by developing and fine-tuning AI techniques, we could save both time and money for all public institutions. And now let's talk about human rights, archives, and artificial intelligence. And we start talking about a use case. We used to work with archives that contains data about victims and disappeared people in Spain, but also in some other countries that have had a conflict. To this day, Spain does not have a final report on how many people died during the Spanish Civil War and Franco's dictatorship, or what happened to them. Just an example, some investigations indicate that around 150,000 people disappeared and are still today in mass graves. And we don't know where they are, but we could have some information about them in the archives. In any case, there's a huge information of documentation containing valuable information, such as records from Francoist military courts. Today in Spain, we have a new law. This law is the Democratic Memory Law that establishes that the Spanish government must create a census of victims related to the war and related to the dictatorship. Only in the case of the military archives, we estimate that we have around 212,000 military corps, a huge number of victims, and around 23 million of documents, only in military archives and only related to these military courts or military trials during the dictatorship. So how we can extract all this data? Probably do it manually. It's not possible. It costs a lot. And that's why we proposed a research agreement between the central government and the Computer Vision Center to achieve this important project using computer vision and artificial intelligence. So let's introduce this use case. Military trial from the Spanish Civil War contains, for example, the formal accusations, the defendant's personal details, the evidence presented, the verdict of, for example, sometimes could be imprisonment, some other times could be a death sentence. And with this information about the death sentence, we could know where these people are, where is the mass grave, and where are they. Given a document like this that you have the left of the slide, that's called military trial from the Spanish Civil War, we want to extract some information like names, localization, prisons, kind of condoms, organizations, and some other relevant information, but that is not easy. We have several types of documents, as you can see. You cannot use a standard standard OCR, optical character recognition, because as you can see, there is not a good digitized document. And here we have, for example, some problems with the layout of the document. Here we have, for example, handwritten and typewritten information. And we have also this problem with signatures, that we have to know who is signing. And we have, if you can change the slides, and here we have an important mixture of handwritten and typewritten letters. Here, for example, in the middle, we have a document that have break lines, and it's not easy for a machine to read this. And in some other documents, as you can see, we have a list at the left of the documents and some other information at the right of the document. So what we have to do is to fine-tuning AI techniques to extract all this data. And I believe that now Fatima will show you how we are approaching to these documents with a small demonstration of what we have achieving in the last years applying these techniques.
Yeah. So what we do for this is just our first approach was using NERSC, named entity recognition, to pre-process the images to try to improve their quality, and transcription of the document using an OCR, and then process this transcription with a natural language processing model to obtain the entities. So I am going to show the demo. Let me know if you are looking at the demo now.
We're still watching the slide, Fatima.
I will need to share the whole screen. Okay, can you confirm now?
Yes, now we can see it.
Okay, so with this, we try with some of the documents that we have been testing, some of the documents here, and then as you can see, we just get from the document all the identification of crime, names, and different information within the text. So I'm just going to show two examples, but of course we are trying different types of documents, and at the moment is working pretty well. As you can see here, it also can recognize in a different types of documents. We also mixed, as Gerard said, documents with text, typed text, and also with handwritten text within the document. Okay, I'm going to show now my. I don't know why I can't see. Are you looking at the presentation? Sorry. Yeah. So
Yes.
basically what we have from the demo is from an image, the transcription of that document, reading actually the text and applying the named entity recognition. We can have some surnames, names, localizations, affiliations, crime, and type of sentence. And we also have detailed information about the condemned person and the supposed crime. Okay. like you are looking at this in this image. That was the first approach. Then we are trying now a second approach using visual large language models to be able to process the image, extract the transcription, extract the entities, and really extract the detailed information on the paper, so on the document. So as I said before, making questions to the document, and we are actually working on it, and it's showing pretty much good results. Then once this problem is solved, then we will focus on the data representation and visualization of these documents. So for us is all. Thank you very much for your attention. I will hand on to Merced or Marie.
So thank you very much for these insights. Oh, yeah, my video isn't starting. Yeah, right now. Okay, thank you very much for these insights. Truly very interesting to see a real life example of what working on documents and historical documents with AI looks like. I would now hand over to Professor Dr. Maike Hopp, Junior Professor of Digital Provenance Research at the Technical University of Berlin, and Raul Vicente Garcia, Project Manager at the Fraunhofer IPK here in Berlin.
Thank you very much for the introduction. I'm trying to start my presentation. Just one moment. No, it's not. Sorry. I just had it a few minutes ago. Let's start again. Okay. That's it.
Great.
Right. Okay. I'm sorry because no, sorry. I can't see my script that way, which is kind of weird because I could see it earlier.
Yeah, don't worry. It's always a bit confusing. So take your time. And sometimes it needs a bit of a minute or so to show up.
Mm-hmm.
We have experience.
It's confusing because it worked earlier on, but now my two screens are somehow not really working together, I'm afraid. Okay, so I'm gonna try to start that again.
So we're seeing the document now, and yes.
Yes.
Good. Go on.
But still my notes are not there. I'm sorry. It's not how it was supposed to be.
Now we're seeing your notes on the screen.
Sorry. I'm so sorry for this confusion. It really worked just before. I'll do a little workaround now and
If we can help you, maybe we could, if you send us the presentation, we can show the presentation from this side.
I'm just trying to send my notes to my other device and read it from there. Maybe this is easier.
Mm-hmm.
And start with the presentation. Okay, now I have it on my mobile phone, but this will work.
Okay.
Maybe it's easier then.
Great. So let's start then. I switch off my video.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, thank you for the invitation and the opportunity to speak today. When we talk about provenance research, we are talking about the history of cultural objects, their origins, their owners, and the often complex and painful journeys they have taken through history. In Germany, this work is, of course, tremendously shaped by the country's responsibilities for the crime of the National Socialist regime. From 1933 to 1945, countless works of art and cultural objects were confiscated, stolen, or forcibly sold from individuals, especially Jewish families. Provenance research is the work of tracing these histories, object by object, story by story, and where possible, making restitution. Just to illustrate the scale and the systematics of this looting, let me give you a powerful example focused on Western Europe. By July 31, 1944, as part of what was called the Furniture Action or M-Aktion, carried out by the Dienststelle Westen under the Einsatzstab Reichsleiter Rosenberg, more than 69,000 Jewish apartments were recorded, and more than 69 apartments were seized, and their content was shipped using hardly 27 freight wagons across 647 trains, amounting to over 1 million cubic meters of belongings from Paris, Belgium, and the Netherlands alone. So just talking about France, Belgium, and the Netherlands. These operations focused only on the Western occupied territories. The scale of confiscation in the occupied Eastern territories was significantly higher, with countless homes, libraries, archives, and museums also looted under various and even the more brutal ERR and SS operations. These numbers that I give you are not abstractions. They reflect the forced cleaning of tens of thousands, of hundreds of thousands of homes, and the disappearance of millions of personal and cultural items. So provenance research today is about to uncover all these histories. Most provenance research in Germany still starts with the object itself. That is because the research usually takes place within the museums or the libraries or other public collections like archives, places where the artworks and artifacts are physically located. I stress out the term physically because I found it very interesting, the statistics that Gerard just mentioned, the number of 8.6%, only 8.6% of museum collections that are available online is hardly or is exactly the same problem that we're facing in Germany. So a painting or another work of art, as you can see, a sculpture also, or the bottom of a sculpture, might carry a faded inventory number, an auction label, or a collector seal on the back. A sculpture might have the traces of past transport, custom stands, or damages caused by transports, or maybe even other interactions. These clues are often the first step in reconstructing an object's history. Researchers analyze these signs carefully and ask who owned the object before it entered the museum, when and where did it change hand, and under which circumstances. From there, they begin to piece together the provenance, often through a wide range of resources. First of all, of course, museum archives, acquisition records, correspondences. Then there is, of course, literature like exhibition or auction catalogs or other art market sources, like sales brochures, collectors' inventories, whatever which is published, but also, of course, personal sources, photographs, family documents, testimonies. And then, of course, the official administrative records concerning confiscation, documentation, transport records, customs documents, and which is a very special German situation. We also do have a lot of post-war archival records concerning all the problems of restitution or Entschädigung. I'm sorry, I missed the word. All these records, as you may imagine, go into millions. And as you can you imagine, puzzling all these pieces together is meticulous and time-consuming. Many objects have gaps in their ownership history. Some were sold under pressure, but we don't know when and where. Others have been confiscated unofficially, others exported under complex legal frameworks or just being brought abroad. And often documentation is missing, incomplete, or scattered across countries. Of course, digital tools can tremendously help here, making distant archives available, accessible, and connecting fragmented data, or, for example, as you can see here in this example, visualize the provenance change and thus the movement of an object going back and forth in history. But at its heart, provenance research is still intense research work, close looking, carefully reading, and a deep understanding of history. Provenance research in Germany is closely linked to the Washington Principles of 1998. It is in this international agreement, 44 countries committed to identifying cultural property loss due to the Nazi persecution and to seeking just and fair solutions. In 1999, Germany adopted a joint declaration with the federal states and municipalities, encouraging museums and public institutions to examine their collections. Since 2000, the Lost Art database has provided a platform to report and search for missing cultural objects, but also objects with uncertain or problematic provenance. Also, of course, gaps in the provenance. Today, all efforts in this field are coordinated and funded by the German Lost Art Foundation, or Deutsches Zentrum Kulturgutverluste in Magdeburg. Since 2015, it has supported hardly 600 research projects across Germany in museums, libraries, archives, universities, but also projects that have been initiated by private people, heirs of former victims of the Nazi era. The foundation also operates the database Proviana, a national research database that documents provenance, findings, and connects data on people, institutions, and historical events, contexts, or also geographical contexts. I brought an example that I've also shown 2 slides before on Lost Art. You can Google it if you're interested in it. This is an example considering a Spanish altarpiece that was first documented in 1908 in the collection of Don Manuel Olliac in Valencia. It remained there until 1932, then appeared at an exhibition in Vienna, and by 1935, approximately, it reappeared at the Neupert Gallery in Zurich. And from that point onwards, it is disappearing from view. At some point, it must have come into the possession of Ludwig Losbichler, who was an Austrian agent, later believed to have been deeply linked to the Franco regime. In 1969, Losbichler deposited this altarpiece, along with two others, at the museum in Geneva. Soon after that, all contact with him ceased. Today, we don't know anything about what happened between the early 1930s and 1969, when it came into this Switzerland museum, or Swiss museum. So all the examples that we have seen so far, translocated artworks, private collections, or confiscated objects, make one thing very clear. Provenance research is at least a European, but even a global challenge. The networks of looting, art trade, and translocation during the early 20th century crossed many, many borders. And so must also our research. We are confronted with this again today when we, for example, see the war in Ukraine, and this war, I think, explicitly shows us how cultural property is once more the risk of being looted, moved, or destroyed. And this reminds us that provenance research is not only about the past, it's really about building infrastructures for cultural heritage for the future. But yet, we are far from being ready. And this means that for the moment, we are also far from using artificial intelligence effectively and meaningfully at a large scale. The results of provenance research projects still remain fragmented, often unpublished, and hard to access. The digitization of important archival resources is progressing far too slowly. Many essential documents remain offline and uncatalogued or difficult to find, especially for international researchers. There are still not enough international cooperation. Transnational research projects, joint databases, and shared standards are quite rare. And most fundamentally, we are still in the process of turning the sources into data, not just the objects themselves, but the inventories, the auction records, the transport lists, and the bureaucratic paperwork. We are still digitizing in the moment of digitizing them, and still in the moment of connecting them. Of course, in selected areas, well-described sources, structured data sets, or targeted image recognition may allow that digital methods, including AI, show a great promise, but these are still isolated cases. So to work more comprehensively, we still lack too much fundamental groundwork, like cataloging, cleaning, connecting, before we can train machines to help us to do provenance research for us. And that is why I say that AI is, at least for the moment, not a shortcut for provenance research, because without stable digital ecosystems, we risk reproducing the fragmentation we aim to overcome. So we need to build the foundations first, patiently, structurally, and collaboratively. One key area is the historical art market. Many objects pass through galleries, dealers, and auction houses, sometimes multiple times. That's why, for example, annotated auction catalogs, as you can see here, have become a very vital source for provenance research. The German Sales Project, for example, has digitized over 19,000 auction catalogs from 1901 to 1945 from Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. These sources allow for full text search and deep data extraction, including names of sellers, buyers, prices, and even sometimes even handwritten notes. I have to be careful with that. Sometimes even handwritten notes that are being transcribed, annotated, and linked to digital object databases. These materials help us reconstruct the networks and mechanisms of dispossession. Many of the auction catalogs have they have digitized at the University of Heidelberg, already contain valuable illustrations, also contain valuable illustrations of the artworks that have been sold at the various historical points of times. Yet so far, these images have not been effectively indexed or made accessible for digital research. That's precisely where the next talk by Raúl Vicente Garcia will continue exploring new ways to make visual sources more usable. Let me end with a broader point. International cooperation is essential in this field. The challenges we face are not national, they are global, and our solutions must be connected as the histories we are trying to reconstruct. To move forward, we need common vocabularies, semantic standards, and long-term fundings for sustainable data maintenance. Ultimately, provenance research is about taking responsibility. It means handling cultural heritage with care and ensuring that restitution is not just possible, but meaningful. I am therefore especially looking forward to the conversations afterwards and the ideas here today that may help inspire future international collaborations in this important and evolving field. Thank you very much.
I would say I would take over now.
Yeah, I just try to.
Let's see.
Sorry, something is not working anymore. I try to go out of the screen sharing.
Okay.
It's all right, Ms. Hopp. We already see.
Can you stop the screen sharing for me, maybe?
We are already
okay.
seeing Raúl Vicente's.
Okay, thank you. So it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Hello, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity. Again, I'm Raúl from the Machine Vision Department of the Fraunhofer IPK Berlin. The Machine Vision Department consists of around 15 scientists of various fields, and we conduct applied research in computer vision and AI since over 30 years already, and always with a strong focus on helping small and large companies, but also the public sector to adopt such technologies. While our emphasis lies more in the manufacturing field, we have a long track of successful projects in the domain, in the cultural domain. And now I will be happy to show you one of our last projects in the cultural domain. This study that was commissioned by the LVR Rhineland and the Provenance Research Agency NB, and with the collaboration of the Berlin and the Provenance Research Group of Germany. It is about visual search in auction catalog. I don't have to explain you anymore how central auction catalogs are to the work in provenance research. They allow to link objects to very precise events in history, and as presented by Michael Hopp, the German Sales collection is probably the most important one in this German-speaking region. It's very large, and it shows pictures. And at the moment, the use of this collection goes through using a text-based search. If you see this example here to the right, we were looking for this small painting. We would have to know a little bit about it, at least the author, something like that, enter it, and get, for example, these 3 matches. And then we would have to click through each of these catalogs and hopefully find the thing we're looking for, provided that this object is in fact depicted, of course, using an image-based search. It's much more intuitive and direct. As you can see, we just have to give the system the image that we're finding, and the system not only finds the right target, right catalog, but also very interesting related objects across the collection. So potentially we are getting to our results in just 2 clicks. So in this study, the goal was to evaluate and develop such a prototypical system for making image-based searches in the full German text collection. And for this, we got 170 matching pairs by the expert community. This is not a very big amount of images by today's standards, but it's a very challenging collection, including a wide range of categories like paintings, sculptures, furniture, ribbons, coins, and many more. Let me tell you a bit how this works and which models are involved. And the first step is obviously to extract all these images from the catalog scans. For this, we use AI methods that first find the illustrations, graphical objects. In the second step, the object detection modules try to isolate each of the objects of interest in the illustrations, while also discarding for us uninteresting graphical objects like stamps, signatures, rulers, and so on. When we've done this, we obtain around 500,000 images, 1 million for images that can be searched, and we do that with a estimated miss rate of about 2%. So once we have all these object images, we need a way to compare them to our queries, and at the end, what we want to have is a result list that is presented to the user the top matching objects. Obviously, comparing images cannot be done directly with pixels, especially in this case. We need some kind of visual signature that is, like everything in a computer, just a long chain of numbers. And these visual signatures have to be unique for each object, stable against, so it doesn't have to change much against quality and perspective variations. They have to be fast to compute, and they have at the same time to be able to retain enough details to discern different objects. For this, we use self-supervised AI model training. This is currently some of the most powerful methods available, and the key to this learning method is that it doesn't need human annotation. It just needs a lot of relevant pictures. Ideally, as we did, artwork pictures. So with this AI model, we are able to compute such visual signatures that are very close when the objects are related and very far from each other when they are not. And based on this, we follow a 2-step visual search approach. In the first step, we retrieve those objects that have the most similar visual features or visual signatures, which you see here. And in the second step, we use a different method that looks in certain interesting points of the objects and validates the details and geometry in much solution. And during this, we get very good results. For 2D objects, especially, we get to recognize 97% of the test cases under the top 5 results of this list that are presented. For 3D, it's more challenging. We just get around 70% of this. It's still a good number considering how challenging the examples are. As said, we think those are impressive results considering that we are doing searches through these 500,000 images in just 1 to 2 seconds per image. As said, this is challenging and 3D objects. This is a natural limitation of using single images. Take a look, for example, at this example to the left. The object that we are looking for is this one to the bottom left. This is actually very challenging for the system. Nevertheless, the system can handle pretty well moderate perspectives, partial occlusions, and even changes, unexpected changes afterwards. It copes well with changes in layout and even can detect or find objects that are articulated and appearing in different poses. It's very good at finding multiple matches. And it discerns object details and complex structures, which is a thing that obviously even for the train time are very arduous and difficult tasks to do by hand. So in conclusion, image search will be an effective tool for provenance research in large action catalog collections by both experts and general public. The accessibility of the large collection will be greatly improved in synergy with the text-based search. As a next step, we plan to make a pilot test in the real world and a longer term test with the expert community, public institutions, and private companies. And we plan also further developments for the automatic comparisons of entire collections for the automatic. Thank you for the patience. I hope you understood some of this, and I'm ready for your questions, if any, afterwards.
Thank you very much, Michael Hopp and Raul Vicente Garcia, for your interesting insights on your work on the German side. So I would encourage everybody who's in the Zoom meeting to open the cameras. It's time for asking questions. As we said, like everybody's welcome to ask the questions also for those attending the YouTube channel. I have a first one for you, La Foneria. So as we have seen, Proviana, as I understood, is an online tool where users can enter and ask for objects or for documents. Sorry. Is there any plans on the Catalan side, or are there plans to open this very interesting archive work for the general public, or is it just for researchers?
Thank you. Now it's only a pilot project, and it comes from a research project. But the idea is to apply this to the military archives to extract all this data. If finally we have through Computer Vision Center and central government from Spain, if they have this agreement, they have to develop it more and more and more. And if they have this agreement between Computer Vision Center and central government, this will be a tool that can be used in this specific case in the military archives. But we continue working in some other projects, applying these techniques to extract data from the historical archives. Okay, but now what we have is only we can do. Fatima could help me, but we have in technology readiness level around between 4 and 8. That means that that's not in the market. That's not in a commercial tool, but we are working hard to put it online and to arrive to the market to solve all the needs of the archives.
Okay, Fatima, is there anything you could add on that?
No, I think Gerard has said it very, very well. We are working towards that. So obviously our goal is to have something commercial and for the use of everyone. But at the moment we are in the development stage.
Mm-hmm. And to the German side, what is your experience with the user interaction? Did you meet a need with the database? Is there, for instance, I could imagine like auction houses doing research on their pieces of museums. What is your experience on the user side?
Well, the auction catalog portal is an open access one, so everyone can use it. It is just sometimes a little bit hard to understand how to use it because you have to have some experience to understand what you or how you can search for information and what information you will find there and what is already transcribed and what is just in process or not yet really made machine readable. And for the other databases that are frequently used by provenance research in Germany, I would say they are also mostly open accessible. So we really do have this open access strategy, and the German Lost Art Foundation, for example, who's hosting this Lost Art database since 2000, is of course very interested in making all this information available. But then it comes to the other end where Gerard meant earlier, the past is not available for machines. If the museums are not willing to really put their information online, and if they are hiding behind personal data protection or archival data protection rules, and are always very restrictive in giving their data to a broader public, that the information will not match each other. And this is, for the moment, this is our most important problem that we have to solve, I think.
Okay, I think there's a whole bunch of learnings on every side during the process. It means like for me as an outsider, it's like an incredible thing to do, given the huge amount of objects and documents that need to be worked on. Is there any other question from our public? Just feel free to open your camera and ask your questions. Or maybe everything is clear, or everybody's in awe.
So maybe I could point this question backwards. So how are you dealing with these archival regulations and data protection issues, and how are you going to overcome these by putting all the information online, which is really amazing, the sources of military records that you have, and how will you deal with names of victims as well as perpetrators in the future?
Well, talking about the victims, if the victim it's not an imprisoned person, it's a dead person, then the law does not apply to this dead person. On the other hand, there is an exception in the European law
European, yeah,
that
no, no.
that if you are a victim from a dictatorship or from a war, and you are doing a research project about history, about human rights, and you can put these names online. Okay, so there is an exception. Okay, and from the other hand, computer vision center used to work with Catalan archives, and they have an agreement to work with these documents. And I don't know a lot about this agreement. Probably Fatima knows perfectly, but with this agreement, they can train artificial intelligence with these documents, but they cannot. I believe that they cannot put online, for example, names.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
they have a good agreement, but of course they have to respect the European law.
Any more questions or suggestions? So then maybe we can leave it here. I think there's a lot of food for thought we all are taking with us from this webinar. Thank you very much for being here, for attending, and for giving us your precious time and your knowledge. I think we had some very interesting insights in how this works in practice, because everybody's talking about AI, but in the end of the day, what we know is ChatGPT. So this is really a useful case, and to learn about how AI is applied in a section and a field where democracy is enhanced and not weakened. We have learned a lot about the menace or the threat that AI is putting under democracy and democratic systems. So here we have an example of the contrary, a positive example of how to apply AI in a very important field. Thank you very much for your knowledge and being part of it. And to all, you're very welcome to share the link on YouTube once it's published. Thank you very much for being here, and have a nice afternoon.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
See you.
Thank you.
Thanks.